What's up guys, welcome back. Today I have a leak in my trunk that I'm trying to fix with some arts and crafts supplies. So I'm gonna get to it. So when getting water into the trunk, the first assumption is this gasket right here, you know, because that's what you see is that gasket when the trunk's closed. Water is going to pour around all the edges, and it just makes sense that it would be coming through this gasket. But I've inspected this seal all the way around, and there's no splits in it. And if you take some water and you just pour it in around there slowly to simulate the rainwater, it's going to pour all around here, but it's also pouring into the trunk. Now I did spill that, but that doesn't count. So when it runs down, it's actually coming into this and down and in. So between the tail light and the body of the car, there is a foam gasket that goes in there. It's not glued in or anything like that. It's just a piece of foam that goes in there. From the factory, it's a thicker piece of foam. So I got this foam from a craft store and it's a little bit too thin. So the first thing I'm going to do is actually glue these two sheets together so that can be drying while I take the taillights out. So let's get to that. So the first thing I'm going to do is just remove this label. I don't want to tear any more holes than what's in there. So I'm just going to snip that. Pull these two bits out. Same thing on this one. Try to keep them clean. If you get any debris in there, it could cause some leaks. What I'm using is some black foam sheet. Different colors will work too. You won't be able to see them. But the black foam sheets I got from a craft store called Joann's. Any craft store that has it will work. Just make sure that you get enough to make it a little bit thicker. The spray that I'm using is just what I had laying around, which is a 3M General Trim Adhesive. And what I like to do is spray in a pattern straight across. And then on the second piece where it's going to stick together, I actually will spray it the opposite way. So with this piece, I'm going to go this way. And it doesn't need a whole crazy amount. So then I'll take the two pieces, get them roughly close together. Again, it doesn't have to be perfect. And go ahead and lay them together, and we'll set that aside to be drying a bit while we take the taillights out. Now my taillights have some cracking in them, so I'm actually going to be swapping them out, and though these are dirty, they are going to be better once they're cleaned up. In order to take your taillights out pretty much on any vehicle, there's some that'll be more complicated, but on the inside you'll have some bolts and some plugs. With the Miata, you have a plug here that will come out, and then around the light there are some nuts to take off, and there are 4 of them. So one at the top, bottom, on the other side, top, bottom. And these pieces just pull off. And then I'm just going to take each of the nuts off around all the sides. And once all of the nuts are off, I'm just going to set them back here in a safe place so I don't forget them. And we'll just push the light out to reveal there's actually no gasket. Wow. So that would be why there is a leak. So let's see if we've got the same thing on this side with no gasket. Yep, no gasket. Okay, so the fact that there is no gasket would be my fault. I put this car together a long time ago, and I guess I was in a hurry or just wasn't paying attention, but apparently I put them together with no gaskets. And then I wonder why it's leaking so much water into the trunk constantly. But that's okay, because we're just going to take that as a positive. And this arts and crafts tutorial with Dead Pedal Garage just got a little bit better. We'll give you more information. What if your gasket's too messed up to use as a template? Because that's what I was going to say. Take the old gasket, lay it on the foam, draw it out, make a template. But instead, we're going to take some old scrap paper, and I'm going to cut it to the general shape, and then we're going to make it actually work. So I got it generally to the shape. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place it up there, and I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to outline this, because obviously that's what we're trying to stop from getting water in. And then of course these holes. I'm just going to set it in there lightly, and so then I'm left with this, and what should work is just square it off about an inch away and kind of do the same outline, something like that, and there we go. So let's cut this out, use a hole punch and cut out the middle, and there we go. So let's see how it looks. Well, that's backwards, and that's pretty good. So I'm basically going to transfer that exact same thing onto the foam and cut it out the exact same way, and then put the taillight back in, and I'll have a gasket and hopefully have no water leak. So let's transfer it to the foam and get it in there. And also the good thing is the gasket that worked over here is going to be a mirror image to the one over here. Okay, I've got the newer taillights that I'm going to put in that are in better shape. I got them cleaned up. Got the gaskets all ready and cleaned up a bit. And I wiped down this whole area with a wet microfiber towel to get it ready. So I'm going to put them together. Basically got them ready. So I'm going to get the gasket on there. I'm just going to press it in. Put the bolts back in, tighten it down. Okay, and they stick out on the edges a little bit because of that foam. So I'm basically going to tighten them down a little bit at a time, kind of going back and forth. And I'm not using a lot of pressure. And I'll plug the wiring harness back in. And that's it. Sitting flush along there. So I'm going to get the other side in, and then I will pour some water in there and see what happens. Alright, so let's pour some more water in there. Trunk is currently completely dry. I took the carpet out so that I can fully check, but take these out as well. I'm going to pour some water in along here and see how it does, and Then I think I'll just go all the way and pull this thing out into the driveway, spray it down with a hose, and see if it stays dry. So let's try the little test first. Just pour it all in there. Still dry, so let me roll out here, spray it with a hose, and see what happens. All right, I think if it was gonna leak, that would do it. So let's see what it looks like. Okay, so aside from the water that dripped off the front into the middle of the trunk, there's no water in there. So that took care of all the water in the trunk. These tail lights are a little ugly, so I'll probably polish them in another video and show you how I do that. But it might be a little while. I've got some other things to do first. So that's gonna do it for this one. Thanks for watching.